Okay. Beautiful. So we're going to start a new mimer today. This mimer is going to be on Baomer. Okay, it actually touches on a lot of different things, and but it was given and taught on Baomer, and it touches on a little bit of the Rabbi. Okay, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who's central to the whole of the Lag Baomer celebration. Right, it was the day of his passing. He's a great, very holy tzaddik. Okay, and he was also, in case you don't know, he's the author of the book, the Zohar, right, which is the basis of basically all or most of Kabbalah, one of the most influential books of Kabbalah. So we're going to be touching a little bit on him and explaining a little bit about what made Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai so special. And this mimer, if I'm not mistaken, has also something else which is very unique, and that is, certain maimarim are used in Hasidic life for different things, and this one specifically is a mimer that is customary for a chassan or a groom to recite, to say over by heart. On the day of his engagement, not on the day of his wedding. We have another one for that one, but this one actually has to do with the engagement as well. So it's kind of cool. I remember actually saying this when I got engaged. I actually happen to think it's a very cool mimer as well. Okay, so the name of the mimer is Shira Ma'alois LaDavid Ine Matev U'Manayim Sheves Achim Gam Yachad. Okay, Shira Ma'alois. Okay, that is a famous verse, a famous pasuk in Tehillim written by King David. You're probably familiar with the song, right? That's from this pasuk, and what it means is the following: Shira Ma'alois means a song of ascension. Okay, for David. How great and how pleasant it is when Sheves Achim Gam Yachad, when siblings sit together. Gam Yachad means let's put it Sheves Achim, when siblings sit. Gam Yachad, also together, okay, also united. Okay, yachad is kind of means together, but it's from the word echad. It means united as well. Okay, so that is our pasuk. Okay, the focus here is going to be on the last part of the pasuk. Okay, Sheves Achim Gam Yachad. Okay, the sitting of siblings Gam Yachad together, and the Rebbe Rayatz, the Friedrich Rebbe, okay, explains in a mimer the following, okay, and this is going to also serve as part of the basis of what we're going to be learning. That what is Sheves Achim? Okay, so obviously every verse has a few, as we know from the first mimer that we learned, every verse that we learn has different levels of meaning, right? There's the standard meaning, it's very simple, it's so great when siblings sit together. Siblings here meaning the Jewish people sit together and enjoy each other and they're in unity, beautiful. But there's also different levels of depth that you can read into a verse, into a pasuk. Okay, so what the Rebbe Rayatz tells us is that when the Torah tells us of this idea of siblings, is actually talking about in one of these levels, right? Is actually talking about sorry. So let me preamble with the question that he asked. He says, why is the verse say Sheves Achim, right? The sitting, or like a settlement of siblings, right? Which implies, in Hebrew, it implies camaraderie, friendship, unity, right? So once you say Sheves Achim, right, your brethren, your sibling, why do you have to also go and say Gam, also Yachad, also together? The Sheves Achim already implies unity and companionship. So Gam Yachad seems to be extra. Okay, so to that, the Rebbe Rayatz answers, the Achim and Neshamos, the Dachar v'Nukva Shachem Zeh, right? When the Torah says here brethren or siblings, it's actually referring to a bride and a groom. The way he says it, it's actually beautiful. It says a soul, a male soul and a female soul that are connected to each other. Okay, in other words, the groom and the bride, right? These are souls that are connected to each other before they even get married. Okay, and what is the idea of Sheves Achim and then also Gam Yachad? Sheves Achim is a kiru v'yiskasher shalom b'kishur tonayim. right? So it says like this: when you sit together, like in companionship, right, is referring to the engagement, right? When those two souls come together, right, they're still not married yet, but they come together in companionship and in friendship, right, and in love. That is the engagement. And then it adds gam yachad, also united, also together. That refers to the actual wedding, right? So that we're talking about two steps here. The step in which we come together, the chassan and kala come together, the bride and groom come together as to become engaged, but they're not yet united. They're not yet one entity. And then when they actually take that a step further, they become one entity, and that happens through nisuin, through marriage, through actually going to and standing under the chuppah. Okay. And then the Rebbe continues in that timer, okay, that just like this alludes to the bride and groom, right? If I say chassan and kala, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I never know like how familiar people are with terms. But chassan and kala means bride and groom. The chassan is the groom, and the kala is the bride. So chassan and kala, when the Torah talks about a chassan and kala, it actually is also alluding to the supernal, okay, the Kabbalistic chassan and kala, the primordial chassan and kala, right, which is the source of this idea that in the physical world we have a male and a female that are two parts of a whole, and they come together and they get married, right? That is in a way an expression, a physical expression in this world of something that is much, much more high and lofty. Okay, so what is this God, the supernal chassan and kala, the supernal bride and groom? That is God and the Jewish people. Okay, so God and the Jewish people, God and Knesset Yisrael. Okay, God is the groom and the Jewish people are the bride, and we come together and there's a unity. We're two parts of a whole in a way. Obviously, if you works, you got to understand and look into it to understand exactly what does that mean? What does it mean that God is part of a whole, right? But what I'm saying is that the Jewish people and God and Hashem are part, are in a way one and the same, expressed in two different ways, right? And the Jewish people and God come together and they get married. And from that stems, right, this reality that we are familiar with, that in the physical world, there's also a husband and a wife. There are two souls that are really one, okay? So when we say, Shavas Achim, we're alluding to the physical bride and groom, the physical chassan and kala, which stem from their source, which is the spiritual, the supernal chassan and kala, which is basically God and the Jewish people, what's called Knesset Yisrael. Okay, beautiful. So now we're going to take that and we're going to extrapolate a little bit further, right? The simple understanding of the pasuk. And if I'm going too fast, please let me know, or too slow. If the simple understanding of the pasuk is the Jewish people, right? Shavas Achim means just brethren. When the Jewish people come together and we enjoy each other and we're together in unity, right? So now that we said that Shavas Achim actually refers to these two levels, right? These two levels of an engagement and a marriage and unity, right? Which means basically a connection and a unity, right? That's the first step. Is a revealed connection, but there's not yet that oneness. And then the second step with marriage, that is already a oneness. So that also applies to the simple understanding of the verse, which is the Jewish people, right? That amongst the Jewish people, right, when we in our relationship with each other, right, as part of the same nation, as Jewish souls, there are also two types of relationship, two steps, okay? Step number one is when we come together in companionship and connection, where we appreciate each other, but we're not one. We don't see each other. I mean, we don't experience ourselves and our friends and people around us as one part of a whole with us. And then there's that next step, right, which is that oneness, that we see each other as what we really are, which is a part of the whole. And in order, right, for us to be able to experience that second level, to see each other as part of a whole, right, you need also, right, because all this is one and the same, you need that expression of that godliness, of that connection between God and the Jewish people, right? So you need God and the Jewish people to, be one, right? That revelation is part of what's going to allow you to see other Jewish people as one. Okay, so we need to explain this further. We need to actually take this and really try to understand it. This is all a preamble, preface for the actual mimer that we're going to learn. There's also another question, right? Which is kind of like, I'm going to bring it up because we're going to explain it later, and that is the continuation of the verse, right? That we're sitting together in camaraderie and united, right? How beautiful that is. Then it continues and it says something interesting. It says, like it's good, right? We're saying it's how beautiful and how pleasant it is to sit together in camaraderie. And then it continues, it says, like good oil that comes down on the beard of Aaron, that comes down to his emotions, to his character traits. That's how it continues. It's like this good oil, that comes down the beard of Aaron. And the question is, what's going on over here? What's the connection? Oil, Aaron, the beard. What's happening over here? What is the connection between that and what we just stated? Okay. And as I said, this is a preface, and now we're going to actually go into the body of the mimer, which is going to help us understand these ideas a little bit further. Okay. And here's where we introduce Rashbi. Okay. Again, Rashbi is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, whom we celebrate on Lag Baomer. Again, this mimer is the Lag Baomer mimer. And we're going to say like this: in order to understand all the stuff that we were just talking about, all these different ideas, these different questions, we need to go into a separate topic, and then we're going to come back to this, right, with a little bit more understanding. So what's the separate topic is as follows, right? It says in the Zohar, the book that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote, it says like this. It says, one time the world needed rain, right? There was a drought and there was no rain. And they came in front of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and they said, we need help. The world needs rain. We're starving here. We need help. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said the following. He said the pasuk, he said the verse, right? He said the verse of Tehillim that we just discussed. And what happened right away, just through Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai saying this pasuk of Torah, this verse of Tehillim, right away it started to rain. Okay, that's the story that the Zohar tells, right, of the miracle that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did. Okay, and we need to, let's take this story, this idea, and try to understand a little bit more in depth. Let's look into this story, right? Because we know that this idea of making it rain is not simple. It's not a simple thing. We think, oh wow, of course he's a tzaddik, he made a miracle, but we see, right, that this concept of asking for rain, making rain when there is none, right? There's so much that all these great Talmidim and Tzaddikim have done in order to be able to accomplish this very difficult thing. We add, in order to have rain, we add 6 blessings to Shmona Esrei, to the Amidah, okay? 6. Okay, there's 6 blessings that people have to do when there's drought to bring rain. Not only that, right, but we have a whole Masechta in Gemara, right, the whole tractate of Talmud that says, what to do when you don't have rain. And you say you start adding fasts, right? You add up until 13 fast days. Okay, people don't know about this so much, but you fast on a Monday and a Thursday, and then you fast like this for a few weeks at a time, and everybody fasts, right, in order to bring down this blessing of rain. And there's also another story which is at the beginning of that same tractate of Tainus, right, that talks about a man, a tzaddik called Choni Amagel, right? What did he have to do? There was no rain in his time, and what did he have to do? He said it was a very interesting story. He came into the Beis Hamikdash, the holy temple, and he said that he made a circle. This is a very holy man, okay? He made a circle in the ground, and he stood inside the circle and said, God, I'm not leaving this circle until you make it rain. I'm not leaving. I'm not getting out of here. And, as he said that, it was a whole thing. And then eventually it started to rain, which is a big deal. So the point here is making it rain, even for tzaddikim, even for holy people, is not a simple thing. Okay, we have to do all these things and jump through hoops and fast and get everybody to fast and do tshuva just to make it rain. And here we have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that all he did was say one verse of Torah, and right away starts to rain. How and why? Okay, that's the question. Why is this story unique to Rabbi Shimon, right? You don't see throughout generations that any other tzaddik just went ahead and said a verse of Torah and it started to rain. So this is unique. And the Zohar is telling us this story because there's something unique about this story that it tells us about who Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is and how he was able to accomplish things and what made him unique. Okay? Okay. So the main point of this story, okay, is that in order, you need to understand like this. There's a distinction between what tefillah, prayer, accomplishes, and what Torah accomplishes. These are two separate spiritual movements, okay? So when we're talking about, we want to draw down blessing, we want to draw down from above to below, blessing of whatever it is, rain included, right? We do that through tefillah, okay? What is tefillah? What is the idea of davening, of praying to God, right? That from tefillah works that we from below, tefillah is something that happens from the bottom up. Okay, a person is in a situation and they need something, right? And that something is not supposed to happen. It wasn't planned to happen, right? There is no rain. There's no rain because you either don't deserve it or for whatever reason God decided that right now there's no rain, right? So what is tefillah? Tefillah is us from below saying, I don't like this situation. God, please, we're reaching up, so to speak, spiritually reaching up to God and saying, please, create a new reality, change things, right? And you know, and draw and bring down that blessing that we need. So I don't like that there's no rain. I need rain. God, please. What we're saying is, God, change your mind, create a new reality that's going to manifest itself in this world. And we do that through prayer. The prayer is us reaching out from below to above and asking God to change that reality. Okay. And in order to do that, it takes a lot of work, right? It's something that coming from below and you have to reach all the way up to God. And you do that through through your sincere devotion and tshuva and connection with God and just, you know, broken heart. And that is hard, right? Because you're a simple finite being, you know, you're a simple human, right? And you're doing hard work, right? Of davening, of praying, right? With all your heart to be able to reach those highest of heights, to be able to create that new reality and draw that down. Okay, so it takes work, it's hard, right? But that is the avenue that we have in order to be able to draw down a new reality, to draw down blessings through prayer. Okay. However, Torah works in a different way. It's a completely different dynamic with Torah. Okay, Torah doesn't go from below to above. Torah is the opposite direction. What is Torah? Torah is God's wisdom. God's wisdom, which is one with God, which is higher than, the level of godliness through which God created this world. Okay, and God said, you know what? I have this thing up here, which is Torah, which is my wisdom, and I'm gonna now take that from up top and I'm gonna give it down to you, and this is gonna be a means through which you can connect with me. You're drawing down that connection, that godliness from top to bottom. It's something that is bestowed upon us. It's not something that we reach out to grab. Okay. So the thing is, with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, you see what was the medium through which he was able to draw down this blessing. It was not through the regular way in which a person from down below reaches up and asks to create that new reality through tefillah, but rather Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did something very, very unique. Okay, and I understand why this is unique. He said Torah, which is something that starts on top and comes down, and through that, right, he was able to change the world, change the dynamic, and make it rain. Right? But because he was using this medium of Torah, right, which again, it's already at the top, right? It didn't require that much work. It was something very straightforward, right? But it's something that nobody else has been able to do. It's something that people, there's a reason why other tzaddikim don't do that. There's a reason why we don't just, we want something, we just, learn a pasuk of Torah and it happens, right? Because it's something that's very unique to Rabbi Shimon, and we need to understand why. What is unique about Rabbi Shimon that through his Torah he was able to do what most people need weeks and weeks of tefillah and work or whatever it is, or really hard work on their own selves and their own heart to accomplish. How come Rabbi Shimon was able to do this through just one verse of Torah? Okay, and we're going to answer this, and I guess we'll stop here. We're going to answer like this. The reason why specifically Rashbi was able to accomplish this, to bring down a new reality of rain through Torah, right, is because, specifically being that this is a change to the nature of the world, right, creating rain where there wasn't supposed to be rain, right, it's a change in the world, right, which is usually has to be done through tefillah. So the reason why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai specifically was able to do that is because in his Torah, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai learns Torah, his Torah has both the advantages of Torah, right, which is again from above to below, and the advantages of tefillah, right, which is that it's able to create a new reality. Torah is not able to do that usually. But with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it had both. It had the advantages of Torah, which is it doesn't require you to elevate yourself to a point to be able to draw down something. It's relatively smooth, right? But at the same time, it had the advantage of tefillah, which is that it's able to actually create a complete new reality in the world, and that is something that's unique to Rabbi Shimon, right? To Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that he was able to accomplish this through Torah because his Torah was very, very unique. Now, that doesn't answer the question, right? We still need to understand why Rabbi Shimon, and how did he accomplish this? Why was this Torah unique? And that's something we're going to explore next time we learn. So we'll stop here for now. But hopefully we'll be able to learn. I think Baomer is in a couple of weeks. Next week, I won't be able to learn on Thursday, but I think I spoke with Rabbi Selfin. He said that Friday should be fine. If you guys can make it on Friday, that would be great. We'll continue this Baomer because it gets it gets even more interesting from here. Okay, any questions?
What a cliffhanger, Rabbi.
Listen, I wish we could do a little bit more, but we have like 3 minutes left. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming. I guess if you do have any questions, let me know, or you can get like always, you can get my number from Rabbi Silfen, and we're happy to answer. And I'll see you guys hopefully next week on Friday. Okay?
Rabbi, I have a special request if you don't mind. Next time, one thing that I've had a hard time figuring out is why exactly we celebrate on Lag BaOmer itself. And I've heard several different opinions, and I don't understand like the reconciliation. Like Rabbi Akiva's students were dying, but only until Lag BaOmer, or they were dying the whole time, or or like they weren't dying on Lag BaOmer itself, but the other days they were. Like, what obviously we celebrate today, like we know what we celebrate, but like how did we come up with that date? Because I've read or heard different opinions, but they're all just completely different. So I don't understand.
I think all the opinions that you're saying now are part of the reason, but that's true. It doesn't really fully answer the question. A lot of us actually go back to the mourning period where we don't shave or cut our hair or listen to music right after Lag BaOmer. So if they stop dying Lag BaOmer, why are we still mourning afterwards, right? So I think that all those reasons are valid and they're part of the answer, but I think the main answer is actually simpler than that, and that is because it's the Ilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed away on that date, and in his deathbed, right, there's a whole account of his passing in the Zohar, right? He was in his deathbed and he was talking to his Talmidim, and it was one of the greatest revelations, of Kabbalah and godliness that happened. And one of the things he said, he wants people to celebrate this day. This day is a very, very special day. Rabbi Shimon, as we say, it wasn't just your regular tzaddik, was a very, very, very unique character, throughout. And the fact that he passed away, and he said, that on this day he wants people to celebrate, right, means that this is a very, very holy day, and we celebrate, we connect with this energy of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and I think that's really the main reason. the passing of Rashbi. It's called the day of the passing of a tzaddik is called a lula, which means like their soul goes up, but it also means a wedding. It actually means a wedding. It's the moment that the wedding, like it's a wedding of the soul with going back to God or something like that. Something very special. So the fact that the energy of a tzaddik, right, which shines on the day of his passing more than any other time, makes it so that Baomer becomes a very, very special day because of how special Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was. So I don't know. I hope that answers the question a little bit more. So all the other things that you're saying are true, but I don't think that they're really the central reason why we celebrate Lag Baomer.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
For sure. Okay, so Mirz Hashem will continue on Friday, and I hope to see you guys then.
Yasher koach.
Okay, bye.